Public meeting is called to order as required by Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth and Act relative to the protection of the wetlands. This is a special meeting, one issue, Zoom only, and it is for old business from Alan Decker, Conservation Restriction, Acushnet, Forest Conservation Restriction, and Trips Mill Brook Conservation Restriction. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken. And Mr. Decker, if it's okay with you, I'm going to turn the floor over to you.
Very good. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Chair, fellow commission members, as you know, but just for the record, Alan Decker with Buzzards Bay Coalition. And the reason for being with you this evening is to seek formal approval of a couple of conservation restriction projects in Acushnet, the briefings of which we've discussed in the past several meetings. As the chair mentioned, this is for the Acushnet Forest property, which is part of Red Brick Farm West. There on the Acushnet Mattapoisett town line, and then also for the Trips Mill Brook property, which is entirely in Acushnet in this case, and has frontage and access from two different points along Mattapoisett Road, and then one off of a cul-de-sac called Holly Court. I believe it's Holly. I think it's Court, might be Drive. And what I'm seeking this evening is the commission's approval to hold conservation restrictions over these lands that are going to be owned long-term in perpetuity by Buzzards Bay Coalition for natural resource protection and public access for passive recreational use. I know documents have been shared and information has been provided to you about these. I am happy at this point to share a map on the screen if we need to orient ourselves to this, if that's helpful for the commission members, and then I can talk about each of them. There's one map that shows both of them, and I could just talk you through both of them, and we can proceed. Mr. Chair, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, Alan, I think for purposes of record keeping, that would be a good idea.
Okay, so again, let's see. So sharing my screen, and well, wait a minute. If I, oh goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna, no goodness. Now let's see. If I do that, are you seeing the map with blue lines and red lines? Perfect.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. In no particular order, but we'll take the area that is outlined in blue, or at least has blue on the western side, that is labeled on this map as Acushnet 10-4567 at 57.69 acres. This is and the blue line would run along that eastern boundary there that is actually red. That's the extent of the blue property, the 57.69 acres. This is the Trips Mill Brook property. Coalition is going to be acquiring this in the next 2 weeks in fee from the private landowner, and we're using a state grant to help with the acquisition. The state grant program requires that we have a partner in the project to hold the conservation restriction. That is the role that the Conservation Commission would play in this, or perform, not play, but perform with this project. So as you can see, it is heavily wooded. That is you probably recognize that. That's a large Instar Eversource utility easement that cuts through the northern part of the property. Our plan for this property is really very straightforward. We are going to develop a trail network that provides access to the property that will continue on to the property to the east and I was getting east and west. So the property to the east is the second project we're going to be talking about. But there are social trails on this property. We're going to formalize a trail network. The conservation restriction limits future activities to simply, as I said, passive recreation, hiking, walking on these trails, enjoying nature, as it were. We are reserving the ability to locate up to 2 parking areas in association with the access points there on Mattapoisett Road and potentially the one on Holly Court as well, but create signage, provide a safe, accessible area for people to come to the property and get on the property and enjoy it, much like the other properties that we own in town, the Acushnet Sawmill, La Palm Farm, and the property on Hamlin Street, the Hamlin Mill property. These are all properties that we own that the Conservation Commission is a partner with on us, and we're looking to continue that partnership. So it has high natural resource value. Those that I can show you some coverage maps if you would like. Let's see. Here we have, this is biomap. On this map, purple, and the cross-hatched yellow. Purple is critical natural landscape, and the cross-hatching is core habitat. These are indicative of high terrestrial and aquatic diversity and important for maintaining those for the Commonwealth's overall benefit. So high natural resource value there. This shows you the context. Now on this map here, where my cursor is, this is the Trips Mill Brook property, but you can see the other protected land in the immediate area. And so I don't want to belabor any particular points, but I'm happy to answer questions the commission might have of me on this project. But again, looking for authorization or approval of the conservation restriction with the Concom to be our partner on this long term.
Anybody with questions for Alan?
Yep.
And maybe you could stop sharing screen so we can all see each other.
Sure, absolutely. And
unless somebody has a question based on what's on the screen.
Yep. And I'm also happy to go over the Acushnet Forest or Red Brick Farm West project as it's on this map, and then we could do questions at the end if you'd like, since this is up as well.
Bob?
Yes, Pat.
Bob, Alan, it's Pat Hannon.
Yes, sir.
Has the coalition done anything to survey or make sure there aren't encroachments from these abutters along Mattapoisett Road already?
We have had the property surveyed, the entire boundary. The plan is actually sitting on a table here at our office. I'm planning to record them tomorrow. There are no significant encroachment issues with any of the property owners at this point, and we are, in conjunction with having had the survey done, we are going to have bounds installed because, and it's a good point. I think I know what you're concerned about, as we are, encroachment from those property owners along the frontage there. We need to make sure they know where the boundary is.
Absolutely.
I don't think the property had, quote, ever been surveyed. It was quite a task, but that was done, and no, we're not aware of any significant encroachment.
And I was thinking about bounds on the access from Mattapoisett Road, just to make sure that those side lot lines don't get encroached on, and that there's a
Agreed.
Yep.
Yep.
Put those 4 corners in and say that's that.
Well, that is part of it. We're also, as soon as we are the owner of the property, we're going to make an effort to familiarize ourselves and have them familiarize themselves with us, all those property owners. That's right off the bat.
And will the commission get a copy of the survey?
Absolutely. We can,
right,
we can
great.
absolutely do that. It will
Yep.
be in the baseline documentation report,
That's fine.
which is part of this project as well. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because in addition to approving the conservation restriction and holding it, I'm going to ask the commission to authorize the chair to review and sign the baseline documentation report, which has been compiled.
Yep.
on
And
this
and
project.
what is expected of the commission? What, going forward for this land? What is the
Well, so to be our partner on this project, of course, you still have a regulatory role, and we certainly understand that. If there's work that we propose to occur, such as bog boards or something like that in association, or even a small bridge crossing, it doesn't show on this map all that well, but Trips Mill Brook, or I guess it's also known as Tinkham Brook in this section, does run across this property. A crossing, anything like that, we would certainly come before the commission in the regulatory role. But as the partner, we're expecting that you would let us know if there's someone has an issue with something we're doing out there and they go to you and not us, or those types of things. It's working well as far as I know with our existing property partnership.
Yep.
So those are the type of things.
sounds good?
Yeah.
All right, I
Great.
appreciate that. So, the red outline. So the red outline, as you see, does extend into Mattapoisett on the eastern side. So what you're looking at in the Acushnet side of this is over 85 acres in Acushnet. It's the parcels number 3 or 10-3, 10-3A, and then the ones right along the town, and as it happens, the county line as well. Map 92 map 9 lot 32 there at the north, and then map 10-1 and -2. They've been combined right there along the town line. This is the component. We refer to it as Acushnet Forest for the portion of the property that's in Acushnet. It is part of what we call in Mattapoisett Red Brick Farm West. This is that multi-town drinking water aquifer protection project, and this property is in the aquifer for the Mattapoisett River, and so we're protecting drinking water for the towns that draw water from the Mattapoisett River, but we're also protecting the aquifer for those landowners and property owners in this portion of Acushnet that draw their drinking water from private wells. The aquifer doesn't know if you're pulling it for public purposes or private purposes. So we're interested in protecting drinking water for all. I have mentioned this in the past. It's important to remember the Red Brick Farm West, or the Acushnet Forest Conservation Restriction, is a co-holding arrangement. Again, Buzzards Bay Coalition will be the property owner of the land, but Acushnet will co-hold through the Concom the conservation restriction, along with the town of Mattapoisett, the town of Marion, the town of Fairhaven. They're in the project because of the drinking water importance that they know of, they see associated with the Mattapoisett River. So they're, and it's not their conservation commissions that are involved, it's their either Department of Public Works or Bureau or Board of Public Works through their water departments, essentially. All partners in the co-holding of the CR. Acushnet, because the Conservation Commission is the holder, Acushnet's jurisdiction ends at the town line. So the portion of the property in Acushnet is outside the bounds of Acushnet jurisdiction, but candidly, that's where any activity is going to occur, meaning in the Mattapoisett portion. You can see there's a large open area right along Long Plain Road that is actively farmed and will continue to be farmed. There's kind of right in the middle of it, there's a cornfield that is being prepped to be planted here soon if it hasn't already. And we've got, there are barns and such right up along the road that we are going to own long term that'll be for our event use in. So, but back on the Acushnet Forest part, again, it's forested much like Trips Mill Brook. Utility easement does cross it. We don't anticipate any particular use other in that area in the Acushnet portion, other than what was happening or what will happen on Trips Mill Brook. Again, creating a trail network that connects with Trips Mill Brook, runs to the east into the Mattapoisett parcel. You will likely remember the parcel in red. It was being prepped for a solar project, and all those woods, the wooded portion there in Acushnet, was slated to become acres and acres of solar farm use. That's not happening now. It's going to remain forest, and it's going to remain aquifer protection land and publicly accessible.
Alan,
well.
do you remember which project that was?
I'm not going to remember the names. I'm not good with remembering solar project names, but it was the project that was being promoted, maybe by Blue Wave. I think that might have been the developer for the private landowner. I don't remember a specific name associated with that project. So again, we're looking for the Conservation Commission to be our partner in co-holding on us the Red Brick Farm West portion in Acushnet that we also know as Acushnet Forest. So that's what I've got. I'm happy to answer questions, but I'm seeking approval for both conservation restrictions and authorizing the chair to sign the baseline documentation reports for both projects.
Hey, Bob, because we're on Zoom, everything requires a roll call vote.
Right. Thanks for that reminder. I do want to know if anybody has a question for Alan.
A couple of people out there in the public I see, but
That's the 774. Is that you, Everett?
Yes, it is.
Alan, why don't we stop sharing screen and we get everybody back on?
Here we go.
So seems like we don't have any questions for Alan. So what I'll do is I want to call two different, oops, nope, there is people in the top left. So that's a different Pat. Okay. Folks, top left, just named Pat. Do you have questions about this project, or are you just listening?
you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah. Or anything. Okay. So Alan, what I'll do is do three separate votes. One to accept the CR for Trips Mill, one to accept the CR for Red Brick, and then the third to authorize me to sign on behalf of the commission. Okay. Does that sound like a good
Sign
plan to you?
it's yes, and
The,
by the
yeah,
third,
the baseline document.
the third vote for signing baselines. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
And there'll be two different baseline documents, correct? Or is it one?
Correct. No. One for each conservation restriction.
Okay. Yeah, the one thing you'll need to change on those is you'll need to take Evelyn Boulet's name off You had her
Yes.
listed as a commission member. She is not anymore.
So actually, I will be changing, so in the documents that I shared with you, I'll be changing the signature page entirely
Okay,
for the CR because we're doing it in the Zoom format. It gets signed just by the chair.
okay,
The vote authorizes the chair in the Zoom setting to simply sign on behalf of the commission.
okay. So in that case, I'll entertain a motion to accept the conservation restriction for the Trips Mill book. Tricks, let me do this again in English. Accept the motion to accept the conservation restriction for the Trips Mill Brook project.
So moved.
I'll make that, Bob.
So what was that, please?
I said I will make that motion. This is Everett.
Okay, Ryan made the motion. Everett, I will accept yours as a second. Any
Okay.
further discussion? So I'm gonna go as it's showing on my screen. Heidi, how do you vote? So yes, Ryan,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Everett,
Yes,
and I'm a yes, so that's unanimous. Next, accept a motion to accept the conservation restriction for Red Brick Farm
West,
West.
thank you.
So moved.
Okay, it's a motion from Ryan. Do we have a second? Second from Heidi. So Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sorry,
You broke up.
Rick,
Yes.
Everett,
yes,
that's a yes for me. And just for record keeping purposes, the 774 number belongs to Vice Chair of the Commission, Everett Filla. Thirdly, a motion to authorize me as the chair to sign baseline documents for both projects. Yeah, so
So moved.
authorize me to sign both. Then a motion from you, Rick?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Heidi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Everett?
yes.
The yes for me, those are unanimous. I don't believe we need any more votes, do we?
Not for me.
Okay. So that was the one, so this was the one reason for our meeting. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I would like to thank Rick Pimentel for his 3 years on the commission. I know, Rick, this is your final meeting.
Yes.
I know you won't be available next Wednesday, so thank you for joining us and thank you for
Welcome.
serving us so well and being available and going on site visits and helping to protect the wetland resources in town.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Hope to
Thanks,
see you
Rick.
around.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah, same here. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to
Bob?
adjourn them.
Before that motion, can I just give Alan a heads up on something?
Sure, please do.
You need to get in touch with the selectman's office, Alan, and make sure that they're aware that this was approved tonight,
Yes,
put back on the agenda.
yes.
It's actually going to be done tomorrow.
Okay,
I
Thank
talked
you,
with
yes.
Kevin late last week and he's calling a special meeting just on this topic. tomorrow.
excellent. Okay,
Yes.
good.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, next meeting will be next Wednesday, June 28th at 6 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
I-
Aye.
Meeting